WKBC's KCAL News, Los Angeles.
There is a reason why our resources are dispatched worldwide to respond to disaster.
Now at 8, with a rare storm eyeing the Southland, reassurance to residents tonight that LA is ready for Hilary. Welcome to KCAL News at 8, streaming live on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Susie Sa.
And I'm Juan Fernandez. Well, this is happening right now. Mexico is getting slammed at just the start of Hurricane Hilary, which intensified overnight.
Well, Hilary will weaken before reaching the Southland, but her remnants are expected to pack a punch.
And we could start feeling Hilary's impact as soon as tomorrow.
That's right. KCAL News next weather meteorologist Evelyn Taft here now to break it all down for us tonight. Ev?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it kind of leaves me speechless because I will tell you, at one point we were saying, you know, there's no way this is going to actually sustain as a tropical storm. I mean, that chance was just so low. That chance is looking really good that we could see landfall in California at this point. Hilary is still a Category 4, by tomorrow a Category 3, and by the time it gets here, a tropical storm. LA County, not the case at this point, but the forecast track could still change. It's not absolute at this point, but the latest track is looking like this. Currently a 4, turning to a 3, then quickly a 2 and a 1 as it starts to hug the Baja coastline there along the Baja Peninsula, now making landfall just south of the border, but that has shifted several times. Just a few hours ago, we were well in San Diego County, so this just shows you how fickle the forecast track can be as far as landfall goes. But regardless, we are expecting a lot of rain and a lot of wind once Hilary enters Southern California, whether it's the remnants, whether it's a tropical storm, whether it's just a tropical low. But we're going to break it all down for you, timing, numbers, all of it in just a few. For now, I'll send it back to you, Jeff.
All right, we'll check back. Thanks so much, Ev.
Susie.
You got it. Hilary may still be on the horizon, but she's already made history in the Southland.
That's right. The rare storm warning had residents getting ready days in advance. KCAL News reporter Joy Benedict continues our live team coverage in Altadena tonight with a look at preps there. Joy.
Yeah, I mean, that's right, guys. I'm not quite as excited about it as Ev is because she's a meteorologist. You know, as the reporter in the field, I'm like, oh, rain. But wait, it's August. We don't usually get rain in August. And that's kind of how everybody is feeling. They're like, we're not quite ready for this. But really we are, because we talked quite a lot about this in our winter storms, about feeling tropical strength winds then. Well, these are just actually coming from a tropical storm. But look behind me. You can see here at this fire station, folks are busy burning the midnight oil, or at least the darkness of it, trying to get those sandbags in preparation, as folks certainly do have this on top of mind. It's a sound we are familiar with, as homeowners lined up for sandbags in Altadena, but a storm in the summer, that is different.
I'm just like, that can't be. I heard it's now a tropical storm, so I'm hoping that's still the case.
Lorraine Hillier rushed to get sandbags for her mother's home when she heard the rains were on the way.
With this news that's saying there's going to be a huge rainfall, we just thought, oh my God, we can't compete with this.
But one of the things that makes a tropical storm different from the winter rain we are used to is what's expected along the coast.
You don't need to be on Catalina Island this weekend. You make other plans, or at least get off the island, I would think, by Saturday, just to make sure that you're safe.
LA County held a joint news conference sounding the alarm as they prepare for the first tropical storm watch in Southern California history, warning coastal communities of the dangers from high surf, coastal flooding, and rip currents.
During the storm, stay out of the ocean, floodwaters, and always avoid moving water.
LA County Fire is adding an extra rescue boat on Catalina Island and telling people to be prepared to hunker down. County officials are also sounding the call at the county parks and the riverbeds, trying to move the unhoused away from the areas prone to flooding.
We should be vigilant of falling trees and power lines, because as the storm moves through our area, the combination of strong winds and saturated soil has the potential to lead to trees falling down.
And inland, there was a frenzy of shoppers at various stores, wondering, what if?
Los Angeles, so we're not used to it. So if there is something going to come, then we'll all be surprised.
And unprepared.
Yes.
But Hillier says she'll be ready, because a tropical storm in Southern California just sounds unpredictable.
It is scary. I mean, we don't know what's coming. We just don't know. So we're going to get ready for whatever it is.
And I think that's the difficult part. It is August in Southern California. That means we are camping along the rivers. We are hanging out at the coast. We are swimming in the ocean. We are going to Catalina Island. And those are the things that you, quite frankly, just don't want to do this weekend, because that is where that water is going to be the worst. It's going to be the most present, and it can create the most problems. So let's just pretend like it's January and we follow those storm rules that we follow then, and don't do that in the next couple of days. Guys.
Staying home is not a bad idea. Joy, thanks so much.
This is potentially an unprecedented extreme weather event for Los Angeles, Southern California, and the rest of the West Coast.
The city of Los Angeles is also getting ready for anything Hilary brings our way. Mayor Bass and other leaders held a news conference today.
Yeah, KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk now. Mike, you listened to that news conference. What's being done?
Yeah, Juan and Susie, a whole host of things. They had everybody from the mayor, the fire chief, a representative from the police department, and other city agencies all talking about this. Now, I want to show you some video. We had an exclusive look not too long ago inside LA City's Emergency Operations Center. So this is what that looks like, because it's going to be activated and has been activated through the duration of this storm. And what Mayor Karen Bass said is what's really important is all the city agencies working together and talking together for if there are issues or emergencies or what have you, especially if, God forbid, there are any evacuations or anything like that. All of that can be coordinated from this Emergency Operations Center that is now open. Now, there were a lot of tips that were given out at this press conference as well, a lot of the same ones that we've been hearing, which is if you don't have anywhere to go, just stay inside. And the fire chief also had a good point about not calling 911 unless you absolutely have to or have an emergency. And she also talked about here in Southern California, we're used to different types of disasters or emergencies, wildfires and earthquakes. This is different because we have a warning. Take a listen.
We know that this is coming. This is one particular situation in the city and the state and the region where we know it's coming versus a wildfire or an earthquake. So please be prepared. Let me assure you that your city is ready to respond in your time of need.
Yeah, and as we come back out here to the desk, we've spoken to a lot of public officials over the last couple of days about this storm. Every single one of them has had that same message. Of course, you know, don't panic buy, don't do things like that, but just be ready. Charge your phones, have flashlights ready, stuff like that, guys.
Just in case, Mike.
Yep.
Thank you so much. There are berms along some Orange County beaches tonight to prevent serious storm damage on the shoreline. Coastal cities are no stranger to flooding and landslides. KCAL News Orange County reporter Michelle Geely explains.
Rolls of plastic are put in place as a precaution on the unstable slope below San Clemente's beloved cultural center, Casa Romantica. 2 recent landslides have severely damaged parts of the historic property, and the concern is that this latest storm could cause further damage.
We're expecting a good amount of rainfall as the storm approaches us, in addition to some wind and storm surge and other things, but in particular the rainfall. If that rain soaks in, it will destabilize this slope. That's what we've seen before, is when it gets very wet, it starts to slough off and go down the hillside.
Here's an example of that happening in April. Tons of dirt and debris fell, which impacted the train tracks, forcing a closure. Officials hope to avoid that this time. Just to the south of Casa Romantica is another area of concern. It's called Cotton's Point. There is plastic going down on a hillside that recently slid. This is near the spot where the train tracks have been pounded by heavy surf.
Hilary, go away. Don't come back.
Yeah, so we're just going to build up all of the sandbags, and they're going to extend much higher.
Rosie Ritchie is listening to the forecast and using sandbags to fortify the front of her Seal Beach restaurant that sits on the beach adjacent to the San Gabriel River jetty. Just over a year ago, a storm sent water crashing over the rocks and into the beach house.
They're going to go to the fire station, and we're going to just start packing them everywhere at all of our openings, right below the patio, so that hopefully it will keep the water from coming in.
Seal Beach crews have built an emergency berm as further protection. A second mini berm is up next to the pier to keep large surf and storm surge from flooding beachfront homes. Several sandbag stations are in place throughout town. Lifeguards will focus on prevention and keeping inexperienced swimmers and surfers out of the ocean during the storm.
So we could see sets of 7 to 10 foot surf potentially, and that's going to fuel very strong currents, particularly rip currents. When people go in the water, they could get pulled out by rip currents, and that generates a lot of rescue and activity for us.
In Seal Beach, Michelle Geely, KCAL News.
And be sure to stay with KCAL News for continuing coverage of Hurricane Hilary. If you want to track the storm, you can go to our website, kcalnews.com. There we have an interactive radar, a full 7-day forecast, and much more.
Right now to this, search teams are making their way through more Maui neighborhoods tonight looking for victims of the wildfires. 111 people have been confirmed dead tonight. Hawaii's governor is expected to talk about recovery and what's next. KCAL News reporter Jeff Nguyen has been in Maui all week long, and he joins us now live with more. Jeff?
Juan and Susie, as charities and faith-based groups work to feed and house people who have been displaced, Native Hawaiians are concerned that the process to rebuild may leave them behind.
10 days after the wildfire devastated Maui, recovery teams continue to fan across Lahaina, searching for victims who weren't able to escape the flames.
So many of our people died. So many of my neighbors, my co-workers.
Shannon Ii is a custodian at a school that burned to the ground. She fears many of the victims yet to be identified are children who were sent home from school the day of the fire because of strong winds.
Knowing that some of the kids I've seen at school are no longer here is heart-wrenching.
Officials say a little more than half of the disaster area has been searched. The death toll is expected to rise as teams make their way through what's left of Lahaina.
Community leaders in Lahaina came together Friday to express their concerns about the government's response to the wildfires and what lies ahead for their historic town.
Residents are afraid rebuilding Lahaina is on the fast track and they'll be left behind.
Give us time to heal. Give us time to find closure, and be open and allow us to sit at that table.
They're also angry over how they're being treated in the fire's aftermath as they wonder what their future holds.
It's like we're prisoners in our own home. We're blocked out of our neighborhoods where, there's all these people everywhere, National Guard. It's scary.
People in Lahaina say relying on one another is what will get them through the worst ordeal of their lives.
And 6 forensic anthropologists from the Defense Department's POW MIA accounting agency are now assisting in the gathering and identifying of human remains. We are live on Maui. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. Well, back here at home, it's all about Hilary in the Southland this weekend. Ev is back with a tracking update ahead here at 8.
We'll just monitor and hang around and hope that things will be a lot milder than we expect.
Residents awaiting Hurricane Hilary's impact proving to be calm before the storm in Southland burn areas. Happening now at 8, residents in Southland burn scar areas keeping an eye on the hillsides tonight as Hilary inches closer. Residents are worried that a downpour of rain could cause landslides. KCAL News reporter Rachel Kim stopped over in Duarte to see how some homeowners are preparing.
Right here, all around, and then down the sides of the end.
Duarte resident John Fasana lives at the top of Mel Canyon Road and told us what he's been doing this morning to prepare for this weekend's storm.
The only thing I'm really doing at this point is just making sure the gutters will flow freely. I haven't cleaned them for a while, but I thought I'd get out and do that.
K-rails already lined the road to protect homes under the burn scars. Community service officers went door to door, letting residents know the city has issued a yellow alert for Sunday, which means beginning at 4 p.m. on Sunday, no parking on Mel Canyon and Deer Lane.
We just had the officers warn us about what was going to happen.
We spoke with Jim Ranella and his family just before they left for a camping trip to Northern California.
We planned it about 2 months ago, so we didn't know this storm was coming.
Just in case there's a large amount of mud and debris flow coming down from these hillsides, the city of Duarte has already inspected and cleared out several of their catch basins like this one. City officials want to make sure these catch basins can be filled to 100% capacity.
We're as prepared as we can be.
Lydia Carswell feels confident the K-Rails will do their jobs if anything comes down from the hillsides onto Mill Canyon Road. She's doing what she can around her house.
Because we're going to have the high winds, I will take care of the backyard and move all the umbrellas appropriately and get them out of the way, and our pillows, throw pillows and our cushions, and get all of that put away.
Ranella and his family will be back home Sunday afternoon before the brunt of the storm.
We have everything ready because of the experiences we've had before. We know exactly where all our valuables are just in case we have to evacuate.
So we'll just monitor and hang around and hope that things will be a lot milder than we expect.
Rachel Kim, KCAL News.
I like that lady's attitude, right?
Exactly.
Stay calm and see what happens.
And she has a plan.
Right, she does have a plan.
She's ready for it. Exactly.
Yep.
Hilary causing some cancellations actually here in the Southland.
Yeah.
You might remember that Ciclavia was supposed to happen this weekend, but organizers have now called off the Koreatown meets Hollywood bicycle tour over safety concerns.
Such a popular thing, Evelyn, but it's the right thing to do, right?
It's the right thing to do. And here's the thing. I mean, Hillary's speeding up now. The forecast track is speeding up. And here's the thing with these things. It could speed up. It could slow down. There's so many things that could happen between now and this weekend. But right now, because the forecast track is sped up, we could start to get heavy rain even over Saturday, possibly parts of Sunday, with the brunt of it still coming in late Sunday into Monday. But we could get heavy rain before that. We were looking at the potential for landfall in Southern California, which would be tremendous from a historical perspective, from really just the sheer amount of rain and wind we could get. The forecast track has shifted a little bit now, so it looks like it could be just to the south of the border, but it keeps vacillating. It's going to be close. Either way we dice it, we're still expecting to get a lot of rain and a lot of wind. So let's check in with current conditions first and foremost for Hilary. And you'll see right here currently it's at a Category 4. 130 mile per hour winds moving to the north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. So it's starting to pick up the pace a little bit again. The forecast model showing us things developing a little quicker. So we're currently at a Category 4, then a 2, then a 1 once we head into the next few days. And take a look, by Saturday and Sunday, it becomes a 1, then quickly becomes a tropical storm just at the border. And you'll see that right here. That's going to be Sunday at 5 p.m. We're going to get rain before 5 p.m. here at home, but this is when it's technically making landfall, and right now just south of the border. And Hilary still might be tropical storm strength when it enters Southern California. At the moment, it's very close to that. As we look at your futurecast, I want to show you rainfall totals. We could get isolated amounts up to 8 inches. Otherwise, 2 to 5 inches of rain, 1 to 2 inches in the lower elevations. Your futurecast wind gusts right here, take a look. We're looking at 50+ mile per hour wind gusts. Technically, tropical force winds expected. Coming up, I want to show you your futurecast in just a little bit, but just to remind you, this is beginning Saturday. We're watching it all weekend, heavier Sunday, and then conditions improving quickly by Monday. Back to normal, if you will, by next week. We'll have that extended forecast, of course, coming up in just a little bit, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, very good. Evelyn, thank you so much. New at 8 tonight, we're getting our first look at a Marine accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl at Camp Pendleton. The girl was found in the barracks at the base after being reported missing by her family. And this story first came to light after the girl's family posted a TikTok video that actually went viral. KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers has been following this from the very start. Mike, what happened in court today?
Yeah, Susie, so it was really kind of a one-sided court hearing because the prosecutors decided not to give any oral arguments, but rather just to submit everything in writing. So all we really only heard from was the defense today. Now, I want to show you some video from our friends down at CBS 8 in San Diego. Now, this is the Marine walking in. He's handcuffed as he's walking in and being flanked by his defense attorneys going into the courtroom there. Now, cameras were not allowed inside of the court, but this is Avery Rosario, according to the U.S. Marine Corps. Now, one of the key arguments here is that he didn't know how old she was. That's what he claims. That's what the defense attorney claims, and says that he found her rather on Twitter and on Tinder, and on Tinder she claimed to be 22. Now the video you're looking at is from her aunt, the little girl's aunt. She says that the girl has a learning disability and was found at the Marines there at Camp Pendleton. She also claimed that there was some sex trafficking going on here, a claim that has never been substantiated. This is a picture of him being taken into custody after the girl was found in the base. Now, a military law defense expert that are stationed down in San Diego spoke with says this really hinges on who knew what, and if everybody corroborates the fact that everyone reasonably thought that she was over the age of 22, over the age of 18, then this is going to be a tough case. Take a listen.
It's not only that he reasonably believed that she was of age, but there were other witnesses who also believed that she was of age.
Yeah, and so the way this works in the military court system is now the person that they went before today will decide if there is enough evidence to move forward to a court martial, at which time he will go in front of, the rest of the court there. Now, these are the court documents. Also in those court documents, Juan and Susie, were restrictions that were placed on this Marine for a prior incident. Now, the Marines will not disclose what that prior incident was, but he had restrictions on him saying he wasn't even allowed to leave Camp Pendleton and also was not allowed to be in a civilian passenger vehicle unrelated to his work on the base. So he allegedly also violated both of those rules, and that is also part of this hearing as well.
Interesting case. Keep us posted, Mike. Thank you. Are you looking for a new side gig? One offering free Shake Shack for a year. That's next here at 8.
Sounds good.
I had not been aware of the problem prior to your reporting.
A KCAL News investigation triggering reaction from City Hall. The mayor's plan now to make Metro rail stations safer. Ahead at 8. And I'm Jamie Yukas. Monday on KCAL News Mornings, as Hilary moves across Southern California, we'll have live team coverage of the effects of the storm from the hardest hit areas. It's all Monday morning on KCAL News Mornings, where we'll see you each weekday from 4 until 11 a.m. In tonight's Spectrum One Business Report, stocks closed mixed, regaining some ground lost earlier in the week. Checking the markets and your money tonight, the Dow gained 26 points, the Nasdaq gave up 26, and the S&P 500 lost 1 point.
All right, check this out. A new gig at Shake Shack, the fast food spot, is looking for a chief avocado officer, a CAO. Deputies include personally inspecting and tasting sliced avocados to make sure they're served perfectly. A $3,000 avocado stipend is included and free Shake Shack for a year. How about that?
I'm good at examining avocados. I can do that.
I love avocados. Right?
That's great.
So good.
Well, results paying off for a Southland task force.
These suspected thieves snatched up almost as quickly as they allegedly stole a senior's purse. That story next here at 8.
San Bernardino County Public Works and firefighters are preparing for this rare summer storm where some creeks, just like this, could become flooded. I'm Jasmine Veal with more of the warnings and what is being done coming up.
Now at 8, oversaturation concerns in San Bernardino County tonight as rare storms head our way. Welcome back to KCAL News at 8, streaming live on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Juan Fernandez.
I'm Susie Sa. KCAL News Next Weather meteorologist Evelyn Taft is all over this tonight. Ev?
Yeah, Susie, Juan, the forecast track changing yet again, and now the storm has sped up, but it's also falling and making landfall a little further south. So let's get right to it. We're going to get right to satellite. We want to get right to that forecast cone, and you will see currently Hilary is a Category 4 storm, still packing 130 mile per hour sustained winds as it moves to the north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. Let's take a closer look at the forecast cone now, turning into a Cat 2 by tomorrow evening, and then a 1 as it starts hugging the Baja Peninsula by 6 a.m. on Sunday, and then continuing on to become a tropical storm right at the border. It's sort of vacillated between San Diego County and the border. It looks like it will continue inland now, and by inland we mean into Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Orange counties, but looks like it'll take an inland track, so we could get the brunt of the rain right there along our mountains and in our desert communities. But pretty much everybody expecting that rain. South-facing beaches expecting a very large swell as well. So we're going to break that down for you, all of it coming up in just a few minutes. But for now, I'll send it back to you, Susie and Juan.
All right, Ev, thank you. Emergency officials in the Inland Empire, they're keeping an eye on vulnerable burn areas. KCAL News reporter Jasmine Veal tonight with a look at preparations there.
I'm here at Lytle Creek, and you can see the water is already flowing pretty swiftly. This is where firefighters have had to make swift water rescues in the past during big storms, and now they are preparing for what could come in the next few days.
I'm nervous.
Veronica Jones is watching Hilary make its way north, waiting to see its impact here locally.
This is some weird weather for this Southern California.
She and her friend Rena Castro spent the day at Lytle Creek in the sun Friday, knowing this area will look very different in a matter of days.
Well, you see what it looked like now. This is nothing compared to what it's going to look like. It's nothing. The water comes all the way up here.
So we're trying to get as much as this nice, water before Hurricane Hilary.
Jones lives in Rialto, in a neighborhood she says is prone to flooding.
And where I live at, the sandbags are a mess.
Grab as many sandbags as you need. Our stations have restocked with plenty of sand.
San Bernardino County firefighters at Station 79 in Fontana have sand and bags ready for anyone who needs them before the storm that could cause flash flooding. Lessons hopefully learned during a very wet winter, like in Lytle Creek.
We've had many rescues, especially when we get heavy rain, heavy downpours. It doesn't take much water for you to get stranded.
In case the weather takes a turn for the worse, San Bernardino County Public Works crews are staging equipment and put up these warning signs around recent burn areas.
The El Dorado burn area, Oak Glen, Forest Falls, that area over there will get extra attention.
Brendan Biggs, director of San Bernardino County Public Works, says they have boots on the ground, but also cameras that they monitor remotely at all times. Officials say they are concerned many people may be caught off guard with this storm.
And we're really not used to seeing, these tropical storms come through, middle of August. We're used to the high heat.
San Bernardino County officials are advising people to sign up for their telephone emergency notification system, or TENS, to be able to receive those alerts, those text messages, and critical updates like evacuation orders. Here in Fontana, Jasmine Veal, KCAL News.
In arrest tonight in a horrific attack caught on camera in Hacienda Heights. An elderly woman dragged as a man tried to get away with her purse.
KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk. And Mike, Sheriff Robert Luna said these two suspects have actually done this before?
Yeah, Juan and Susie, it's kind of unfortunate. A lot of these crimes that we've been seeing lately, these people have been involved in multiple types of crimes, and that's the case in this one as well. You see that really horrific video behind me, this elderly woman being dragged through a Hacienda Heights parking lot. We'll show you more of it here as we take the video full. The sheriff today at a news conference said that they arrested two people in this, both of them 19 years old, from the Los Angeles area. Now, they also said that they were responsible for 3 other robberies of purse snatches and one of a guy with a wallet, a man with a wallet. And in that case with the wallet, they actually had a gun, fired it into the air as the man tried to struggle to retain his wallet. You can see in this video that poor woman getting dragged. Now, at the press conference today, the sheriff was there, the district attorney George Gascon was there, as well as a member of an ATF task force that is based out of Orange County. Now, this task force is the ones that really caught these guys, and Sheriff Luna had a message for anybody else involved in that.
And if you're out there doing this kind of stuff, this crazy stuff, you're going to get caught. And these men and women are probably going to be the ones that are catching you, arresting you, and making sure that they do everything they can to get you prosecuted.
Yeah, now Juan and Susie, that task force, if you remember that series of 7-Eleven robberies that we had where that clerk was killed, they were the ones responsible for catching the person involved in that as well. So they're really good at what they do, according to the sheriff. Now, meanwhile, these two people have been booked and charged on several counts of robbery, attempted robbery, and elder abuse. Guys?
Mike, thank you so much. More sadness on Maui tonight. The death toll is expected to go up because hundreds of people are still missing tonight. Many of them are believed to be children. KCAL News Mornings anchor Rutabe Shabazi spoke with a Lahaina girl today, still processing what happened.
Sometimes I just go in the corner and think about what the old Lahaina town used to look like, and I just start crying.
12-year-old Mackenzie Haya relives the day she ran from the flames in her dreams.
There was fires blocking us everywhere on the main highway, and all that black smoke, we couldn't see anything, and we were on the other side of the lane. So if there was a car coming really fast trying to get into Lahaina town, we would have gone to a car crash, and we wouldn't be able to get out because the fire was making a circle around us.
Mackenzie's mother, Adri, now grappling with how to explain the injustice of loss to Mackenzie and her 6 other children.
They ask
is this person okay? Is this person okay? And I think as the days go by and they release, because a lot of them were kids, we know them. They were a part of the community. We've seen them at parties. We've seen them all around town. Maybe my kids played sports with them. How, as a parent, are you ever prepared to tell your children that their friend didn't make it?
Authorities say a large portion of the deceased may be children. School was canceled the day of the fire because of the storm, and a little more than a quarter of Lahaina's population is under 18.
I'm worried, but I think everyone made it out. But I don't know yet. We go through all these emotional waves, and our children should do the same. They should be able to feel the same and not just be strong, because we don't want to be strong. We want to grieve. We want to cry. We want to be upset. We want to feel worried. We want to feel whatever we need to feel to process that we just lost an entire town and we lost many people.
Rudabeh Shahbazi, KCAL News, Maui.
Let's get another update on Hilary.
Yeah, some new information coming to our weather center just about 10 minutes or so ago. Meteorologist Evelyn Taft now with the very latest. Ev.
And we had tropical storm watches, and the latest, well, that watch was now upgraded to a warning. And look, it was the first time we've ever seen tropical storm watches here in Southern California ever issued by the National Hurricane Center. Now that watch has been upgraded to a warning Sunday into Monday. We're expecting very gusty winds, 40+ mile per hour wind speeds expected Sunday and Monday. And I will tell you, pretty much imminent when we see a warning. It means that this will be happening or is currently happening. So at the moment, we are looking at this warning to stay in effect Sunday into Monday. We're really concerned about, of course, the coast. That's where we're looking at gale force winds, tropical force winds, 20 to 30 knots, gusts up to 40 knots, and combined seas between 5 and 8 feet. So the locations affected by this tropical storm warning, which basically just means we're going to see tropical storm force winds expected somewhere within the area over that window. Again, it's going to be about a 36-hour window between Sunday and Monday. Locations affected: LAX, Long Beach, Redondo, Santa Monica, Torrance at this point. The peak wind forecast looking at maybe 30 mile per hour winds. But this really is incredible. I mean, we're looking at, of course, the threat to life and property. So that's something just to keep in mind. So there is some typical forecast uncertainty in the track, the size, the intensity at this point. But we really are looking at a very high likelihood that this could hit as a tropical storm. And that wasn't initially the plan. We were really trying to be careful with this, making sure that we were giving you the accurate information. And, it was always a possibility, but now it's a high likelihood that it could hit, or at least hit close to us, as a tropical storm. Storm surge, doesn't look like we're going to see any storm surge in the forecast, and that's what's usually typical when we see tropical storms or hurricanes make landfall, but just still could see some flooding along the immediate coastline. So just know that storm surge threat could happen, but at this point we're looking at little to no storm surge flooding. But we are looking at the potential for flash flooding from the rain, and we've got a flash flood watch in effect. So we're going to have more on that. Of course, we could see rainfall between 2 and 4 inches, maybe even more than that. Juan and Susie. So we're keeping an eye on it. I'm going to continue to track it for you. But right now, the latest news, that watch has now officially turned into a warning. So this is becoming a little more real. Back to you.
Sure is. Changing hour by hour,
It really
right?
is, yeah.
All right, Evelyn, thank you. Well, expect some transit troubles this weekend.
Yeah, the service being halted by Hurricane Hilary next at 8. Now at 8, travelers beware. Hurricane Hilary is causing some travel impacts across the Southland and beyond tonight. KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk with information about rail closures in Orange County. Mike?
Yeah, Susie, those poor folks that try to ride the Amtrak from Orange County to San Diego just cannot catch a break, and they're not going to get one this weekend either. As we look at some video here, the Amtrak as well as the Orange County Transit Authority have announced that they will suspend train service through the storm, and this is why. We have seen time and time again the hillsides along the southern Orange Orange County coastline there, kind of collapsing down onto the rail lines. Now, this was a new fence, a new wall rather, that they put up. So hopefully that is going to help during this and make things a little bit better, because the last thing anybody needs is another long-term closure of that rail line. It's happened time and again. Now, I also want to tell you about the cruise industry. As we come back out to my computer here, Princess Cruise Lines got back to me today. They have altered some of their itinerary in order to better deal with this storm. And surprisingly, it's not the Mexican Riviera line, because I don't believe they have one running there right now, because the storm usually, is coming right up the coast here from Mexico. This is their Hawaii cruise that's coming back into LA right now. They're actually going to come back to LA one day early to try to avoid the storm. Now, they will still dock very briefly in Ensenada, Mexico. The passengers will not be able to get off there in Mexico, and then they'll go straight to LA, where they will arrive one day earlier than scheduled to try to beat the storm. As we come back out here to the desk, I'm told that passengers on that ship are able to stay there if they want. It'll still be in the port of LA, or they can choose to disembark if they would like. But now the cruise line industry also seeing the impacts of this, as well as the train service, guys.
All right, Mike, thanks for that update. Well, devastating wildfires in Maui have many people looking for ways to help, and scam artists are hoping to take advantage of your generosity. KCAL News reporter Michael George now with more.
Donations are pouring into Maui to help the thousands of people left homeless from wildfires.
This is the type of things that our community does best, and we stick together.
Besides basic needs, legitimate organizations are also asking for money, but so are criminals posing as charities.
We want people to know that whenever there's a natural disaster, scammers are quick to follow.
Colleen Tressler with the Federal Trade Commission says scam artists may contact you about donations through phone calls, email, and social media. Are there red flags that people should look out for that might be signs that it's not a legitimate charity?
Absolutely. These scammers very often create a sense of urgency, and you're really not thinking as clearly as you would normally. Some of these scammers use very similar sounding names to organizations, charities that we all know.
Another red flag, criminals often ask for payment with cash, gift cards, wire transfer, or cryptocurrency.
We really recommend that you pay by credit card, which gives you a lot more consumer protections.
Tressler says you should only donate to charities you trust. You can verify the legitimacy of a nonprofit through sites like Charity Watch, Charity Navigator, and others.
Every dollar that a scammer takes out of a generous person's pocket means that money isn't going to the people in need.
A little research can help guarantee the money you send gets to the right place. Michael George, KCAL News.
Now, if you want to make a legitimate donation to help the Maui fire victims, just go to cbsnews.com/Red Cross.